What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another NBA Rundown brought to you courtesy of Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets. Quite a weekend at Run Pure Hoop. How are you feeling today?
Yeah, I had a lot of success, especially in baseball yesterday. Big
Yeah.
day for the baseball team. Draft cheat, hitting up the baseball product, picks, plays, recommendations. Everything has been on point and kind of came to a boiling point yesterday. He had a big day. I know another member shipped 100,000. Just a great weekend all around, and looking to keep that momentum going into the week here.
All right. Well, if they're not already a member, what was the promo code you guys gave out?
Yeah, so a new promo started today. Basically, it is RPS Heater 25, and then that gets you 25% off your first payment, monthly payment. Then we still have the Get Bets promo. That promo, Get Bets, is basically sign up for a monthly package that includes DFS and bets. You get the bets portion for free for the first month. So two promos going right now, and we'll continue to talk about them on the show.
All right. Well, hopefully people can take advantage of that while we dive into the card. Just a quick reminder, guys, please like the video, subscribe to the channel so we can continue to bring you actionable gambling content. Let's jump off. Hope I was telling you about this minefield of an injury report, and I think this first game perfectly describes what we're going to be seeing in the association for the rest of the year. It's the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are 20 and 36, 23 and 33 against the spread, heading to Detroit to take on the Pistons, who are 17 and 40, but they're 29 and 24 against the spread. Boy, so you go to Basketball Monster, right? You unclick the probable, questionable, and doubtful. It just gives you a sea of red. Damian Dotson, Larry Nance, Dylan Windler, Mason Plumlee, Dennis Smith, Corey Joseph, Wayne Ellington, Sekou Doumbouya, Jeremy Grant, Hamidou Diallo's in. Okay, so we got one guy playing, and Rodney Magruder. So I did a little bit of research, looking at the local blogs from the Pistons. They expect, this isn't for sure, but this is what they expect. They expect Killian Hayes, Josh Jackson, Sadiq Bey, Tyler Cook, and Isaiah Stewart to start. So I'm familiar with all those players except for Tyler Cook. I don't know if it's necessarily that bad a starting lineup, but they're not going to have any depth at all. How are you approaching this game, and is this a DFS gold mine, or do you just move right on past it?
Yeah, no, this is a gold mine, and we had the same situation with the Pistons on Friday night. I want to say, yeah, it was Friday night. They were playing the Wizards, and I mean, basically, for DFS purposes, we loaded up, and it worked out well. I mean, all these guys kind of got there, including so Killian Hayes, Josh Jackson, Sadiq Bey, Stewart, Frank Jackson had a big day. Saban Lee, Diallo, I believe, was out. I don't know, did he play? I'm not sure if he played. I don't think he played that day. So him back. Whatever. I mean, I'm not too worried. I mean, you're going to want to load up here for DFS purposes, and the price tags haven't come up all that much. I mean, Isaiah Stewart had a massive game. He had what was
He
that?
had 21 rebounds. I think it was like 15 and 21.
Yeah, he had 41 fantasy points. Strong play. Josh Jackson, strong. I mean, all these guys are going to want some Pistons exposure in DFS. It's going to be a good spot. However, the way things are going, this is a 9-game slate. We could get some additional big news and could shift things. But as it stands now, this is definitely a spot to absolutely load up and feel pretty good about it. Now, from a betting perspective, this also happens to be my favorite spot as well, and I already bet it, and I might bet more because the line's not moving like I thought. I just think you bet the Cavs here. I mean, it was 1.5 last night. I bet that. It came up to 2. It got up to like 3.5 this morning. Now it's come back down a little bit to like around 2.5. I still love the Cavs here. I mean, you just look at the rosters, and the Cavs don't have the strongest roster, but they have guys that are proven NBA players that are going to be playing tonight. Jared Allen, Kevin Love. The minutes on Kevin Love are starting to come up. He's now around 30 minutes. He played 30 minutes last time out. Sexton, Garland, all solid NBA players. I think they handle the Pistons here quite easily. Like I said, I already bet this, and I'm tempted to bet a little bit more. I think Cleveland is in a very, very good spot to whip up on this Pistons team tonight. So great spot for DFS, and like I said, it's one of my favorite spots for betting as well, right out of the gate.
All right. Yeah, my only concern for that play there is the loss of Larry Nance. I really enjoy his defensive versatility there on the for the Cavaliers. He just makes their defense so much better. He makes Jared Allen look better, and he hides a lot of the weaknesses of Garland and Sexton. But you're looking at a Detroit team, and I think this is an example of what goes on in the association, and that's the coaches and the players are not tanking, right? So the front office basically said, we're going to tank for you because Dwayne Casey was going to play his veterans, right? He was going to play the guys that deserved the minutes and were the best players. So they came out and they just sat, no more Plumlee, no more Corey Joseph, no more Jeremy Grant, right? So it's not the coach or the players that are attempting to lose. It's the front office by shutting these guys down. So I think the way that you're looking is the only way to look. I think it's going to be really hard to back the Pistons for the rest of the year on spreads that are less than 6 or 7 points. I think they can still cover big spreads. I wouldn't be surprised if they kept it close tonight. But I mean, the 21-point loss to the Wizard, I mean, you saw it. They filled up the stat sheet and just weren't even close. So I kind of like your look there. The total tonight is 214. It's been about average for a Cavaliers game, who are averaging the least points of league in the game. They average 103 points per game. I'd probably look to the under, but I think we're going to find better spots as we move along the card. So let's move into a game that's a little more high profile. It's the Chicago Bulls, who are 23-33, 29-26 against the spread, heading to Boston to take on the resurgent Celtics, who have won 5 in a row. They're now 31-26, 28-28 against the spread. Minus 6.5 right now. I would not want to go against Boston the way they're playing right now. I think this number's pretty good, but I still lean towards the Boston side. What are you thinking about this game and the total of 216 in it?
Yeah, I lean Boston here, but no Zach LaVine on the Chicago side. And like you said, they're just playing so good right now. I mean, the one thing, Kemba Walker and Marcus Smart are questionable. I believe they're both officially questionable.
But it says Brown and Tatum are in. Now we've been kind of hoodwinked on that before, but we're going to go ahead and handicap it like they are in.
Yeah, and Brown's been playing some really nice basketball. We talked about the Celtics earlier on in the season. The rotations it was just silly what Stevens was doing with running 2 bigs out there with Tristan and Tice. Well, they got rid of Tice. Tatum now primarily playing the 4 where he belongs. Like, he's just perfect for this day and age to be playing the 4. And what do you know? They go out and now they're winning ball games because they're playing the right guys in the right spots. I'm gonna be on the Celtics here. I don't know if I'll necessarily bet this one, but if I was going to, it would be Boston. For DFS purposes, not a ton here. I mean, we're really, if you play NBA DFS at this point in the season, you're most likely going to be making your teams with the stars and scrubs approach. We're going to have a ton of value, especially on these bigger slates where we know we have the value and we're going to have more. You're going to want to play some of these cheap guys. You're going to want to get exposure to the real big name guys. And yes, Tatum and Jaylen Brown are good fantasy producers, but they're not Jokic. They're not Giannis. They're not in that tier yet. Those are the guys we're going to be focusing on. So these guys are kind of in a weird spot for fantasy purposes. The one guy in this game that I do kind of like, Daniel Tice, he's been playing pretty well. 4K. Last couple games haven't been all that good, but if he's going to play upper 20s in terms of minutes, he can be productive out there now on this slate. Is he the right play? Might not be, because we have a lot of injury news and we're probably going to get more. That Pistons situation, I really like all those guys. So this is not a spot I'm probably going to be finding myself for DFS purposes. Now, if Walker and Smart are out, might have to reconsider that. Jaylen Brown, he's 8-4 on DK. He becomes more in the conversation a little bit. This game is 7:30 Eastern, so we should have it once lineups lock. So we'll be able to make the right decision at that point.
Were you surprised that Stevens played Jabari Parker so much in his debut? Oh, I personally was.
Yeah, I was pretty shocked. I really was too. But yeah, apparently he's going to be part of this rotation. They brought him in here, and 16 minutes right out of the gate.
Yeah, would he be interested as a min play, or would you think there's better ones?
Yeah, probably not. If it was a smaller slate and we didn't have the value that we do have now, and more that we'll probably get, maybe, but not on a 9-game slate.
All right. Let's move on to another game. Golden State Warriors 28, 29, 27, and 30, heading to Philadelphia to take on the Sixers, who are 39, 17, 30, and 24 against the spread. I actually have this game at 5.5, so this line indicates to me that they do not expect Steph Curry to play. How are you approaching this game? If Curry plays and this number is 10, this is my favorite play of the day, but this line is telling me they don't expect Curry.
Yeah, I mean it's a big number, and if Curry's in, if I know Curry's in, I'm jamming the Warriors as quickly as possible. But the fact that it is up there at 9 and it moved a ton. So like I looked at it last night, it opened up at like 5.5 or 6, the number that you kind of thought it would be at. That's where it opened up, and then it quickly moved to 9. So it makes you really believe that Curry is going to be out now. This game is very hard to peg right now for fantasy purposes because, if Curry is in, probably not going to be playing any Warriors in this tough matchup. If Curry's out, okay, maybe some of these guys for the Warriors are appealing, but that makes this game very, very likely to turn into a blowout without Steph Curry. So it's really hard to pinpoint. And then on the 76ers side, they have a bunch of guys questionable: Dwight Howard, Tobias Harris, Seth Curry, all listed as questionable. If all those guys are out, Joel Embiid is definitely someone we're going to want to consider tonight as one of those upper echelon spends. But it's very hard to really break down this game at all. I mean, so many key pieces listed as questionable. If it's announced Curry's in and you're able to get this right away at Golden State plus the 9, I'd immediately bet it.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, it seems like it's a pretty good time to be a 76ers fan, right? With the Nets, there's so many questions around their health and their continuity, right? And the Sixers seem to be finding their groove right at the right time. They might be going in the playoffs with home court when they're so much better at home. And then also with so much less uncertainty about chemistry and, health. So, boy, this could be the year that the Sixers finally break through after Mangone teasing me that I've been overrating them for like the last couple of years. So we'll see if they can get it done. Obviously, a big game for them tonight. They want to keep the winning ways going. Golden State continues a road trip. They played really well against Boston the other night, but fell short. I thought that was a pretty good performance, and let's see how they continue to do against the upper echelon of the East. The San Antonio Spurs are 27-28, 29-25 against the spread. They head to Indiana to take on the Pacers, who are 26-30, 23-33 against the spread. So, Hoop, this is a stat that just shows you how weird this season has been. The Pacers are 9-16 at home, and the Spurs are 12-18 at home. Pacers are 17-14 on the road. The Spurs are 15-10 on the road. I mean, is the home court advantage? Do we just flip it here when we're breaking down this game? And what do you think? My original lean was the Pacers, but I wasn't sure if I was being kind of biased because I remember talking about this. I took San Antonio at home against Indiana when they played like 3 weeks or a month ago, and San Antonio smashed them. So that might be making me a little bit hesitant to jump in on this game. But my original lean is the Pacers. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, I was just wanted to verify before I said it, but yeah, I bet the Pacers already.
Okay.
+1. I don't know. It just seems like, I don't know, why are they getting a point here? Like, I mean, yeah, maybe the splits are weird, the home road thing, but I don't think. I look at these rosters. I mean, I kind of talked about that Cleveland and Pistons game. Look at the roster. I look at these rosters here. I much prefer what the Pacers are putting out there over the Spurs. And I don't know. It just doesn't seem like San Antonio should be favored in this game. So I like the Pacers here. I'm going to bet it. I don't know. I mean, it's more of an eye test type play. I just like the Pacers team. Yeah, the results haven't been great on the court, but man, I got a solid trio: Brogdon, LeVert, Sabonis. All these guys in a close game, they play a ton of minutes. Like, they're willing to play these guys like 40 minutes. It's not necessarily the case on the Spurs side. So I like the Pacers side here for sure. DFS purposes, we've been off the Spurs basically all season long, and it's worked out quite well. I mean, if you listen to the Hardwood show with Big T and myself, this is a team that we've mostly avoided unless there's injuries or guys out, and that's just not the case right now. Yeah, the other night, I believe it was Saturday night, they rested some of the guys. Okay, yeah, we're gonna take a look at some of these Spurs players. They're all in tonight, most likely, unless some news pops up. I'm gonna be totally off them DFS purposes. On the Pacers side, yeah, I mean it's kind of tough for them too because they have a lot of guys that contribute. I mean, they have 4 solid offensive producers in that starting lineup. They can bring McConnell off the bench. Aaron Holiday chips in. They have a lot of guys that can chip in. And the price tags are somewhat elevated as well. I mean, Sabonis 9.4K, Brogdon 7.6, LeVert 7.5. They just don't have great price tags. So for DFS, this is a game that I'll be off unless somebody's ruled out. But definitely prefer the Pacers side here.
All right. Well, it's nice to know that we are on the same side there. Yeah, I'm just the same thing looking at the rosters, and I'm just trying to throw that result out of my head.
Yeah.
San Antonio, I wonder, I wonder if they get a letdown after blowing out Phoenix. But you know, it was funny. So Tyler and I were all over Phoenix on Saturday night, and our idea was the fatigue fade. There's 5 games in 7 nights. I thought it was genius of Popovich. When he pulled all those people, I was worried. I said, well, now I'm going to
Yeah.
get fresh players, and it turned out to be that way. The starters should be fresh tonight. Should be a good game either way. But I'm with you. I like the Pacers here. So we'll see if they can get it done. Let's move on to pretty much the marquee game of the night. It's the Phoenix Suns, who are 40-16, 35-21 against the spread, heading to Milwaukee to take on the Bucks, 35-21. We're 24-31 against the spread. Milwaukee laying 2.5. Milwaukee been playing quite well lately. Giannis back from injury, but could have a minutes limit. Only played 29 in the loss to Memphis the other night. Phoenix, boy, this is a tough loss there, so maybe a nice spot to bounce back here. Who do you like in this game? I've gone back and forth, and I think I could make good arguments for both sides.
Yeah, I'm literally the same thing. I've looked at this. I've gone back and forth. If you're looking, this is the premier game of slate. If you're looking to get action on it, I'd just take the points. I don't know. I mean, it just seems like it's a close. It's a toss up, and both these teams will probably give it their full effort and try to win it. I'd take the points, and it's not a game I'd make a big play on because, like you said, it's easy to make the argument both ways here. Suns, Bucks. You can. To me, it's really a toss up. DFS purposes, the Suns are a team we have not been playing. They have a lot of contributors, even off the bench. See guys like Cameron Payne. If he gets hot and he's been playing well, like they'll let him run out there. So it makes it difficult for a guy like Chris Paul. Cam Johnson's another guy that's contributing off the bench. They just have a lot of pieces. So, they're not a great DFS team to target unless, we have injury news or guys out. On the Bucks side, yeah, I mean, it just seems like they're almost in coast mode here. They know they're going to be in the playoffs. They know they'll have a decent seed. They're just not – it appears they're not going to push any of their guys. Giannis obviously coming off the injury, 24 minutes, 29 minutes. When you're paying that price tag for a guy like Giannis, you want him to have the potential to go out there and play like 35, 36 minutes. I don't know if that's the case tonight. I just don't know. And the Suns are a good defensive team. Their game plan is going to be to slow him down, and he's better against these weaker defensive teams where they just don't really scheme for him. It's a big total, close spread. That's kind of the thing we like for DFS. But to me, when you really take a look at these teams, it's not the right move here for DFS. Bucks, like I said, with the Suns, they also have a lot of guys that can contribute off the bench. Bobby Portis, obviously, Connaughton, Jeff Teague in there now, just a lot of bodies. So I'm going to be off this game for fantasy purposes. I'd probably just lean the Suns for betting purposes.
Yeah, and I've talked about this a couple games on Friday night too. This is a game that, regardless of whether or not I have money on it, it will be on one of my TVs as I'm watching all the action tonight. But as of right now, I don't see myself getting involved pregame. I think that it will end up close though, and I think it will be a game of runs. Maybe if one team gets out early. It's interesting besting these spots live. So what I'm looking for when I do that, for example, if Milwaukee gets up 10, Phoenix is down by 10, but what is their shot selection looking like? Are they missing wide open shots in case I'm going to jump in? If Milwaukee's just all over them, then I won't. So that's where, you can't just look at the stat sheet to make these live plays. A lot of times you have to look, because 3 of 10 behind the arc can be completely different. If they're missing wide open threes, I'm going to jump in. If they're missing contested threes, I'll probably just let it ride and not play the game at all. But should be a very fun game to watch, and I don't think there's anything wrong with just being a fan for that one.
Yeah.
Speaking of game that I don't think anyone will be a fan of, it's the Oklahoma City Thunder heading to Washington to take on the Wizards. The Wizards are laying 12 points here. I mean, the Wizards have been on fire. When I originally looked at this game, when I was checking out the schedule, I thought that this would be a spot where I would take Washington, but 12 points is way too many. At the same time, you can't back this OKC team right now, who are they're not even covering anymore. They were an ATS darling at the beginning of the year. That is over. They've only covered 1 out of their last 10 games. So they're 1-9 against the spread, their last 10. But this number is adjusted for it because if you run a model, this game isn't a 12-point game. So they're adjusting for it because they see the recent results. I think this is another tough one. I think this is a pretty easy game to pass on, but am I missing an angle here? And do you have a side that you like?
Yeah, I mean, you laid it out perfectly. I mean, you can't back the Thunder basically at any point. They're on back to back as well, so that's another reason this number is appears to be inflated minus the 12. That's also a big number for a team like the Wizards. So it's probably best to stay away from this one. DFS wise, what's the injury situation? Nothing significant. I mean, Rui.
Yeah, this one's actually pretty quiet for these teams. Huh?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if we get some news on the Thunder. Like maybe a couple of these guys sit out on the back-to-back. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
8 p.m. Eastern game, an hour after lock. I'm skeptical at this point to really lock into anything in my mind, fantasy-wise, right now. On the Thunder side, I wouldn't. If all these guys play, you can't play them in DFS. There's no way. If there's a couple guys out, then yeah, maybe we can consider. I mean, they have a lot of bodies when you just look at the roster and the guys that are available tonight. On the Wizards side, though, people tend to avoid guys in these blowout spots. But man, Russ is back fantasy wise, and he's just turned into high floor, high upside Russ. And if by chance this game stays close, he could go for 70, 80 fantasy points easily. So he definitely needs to be on the radar tonight. Bradley Beal has a pretty affordable price tag at 9.2. I think he pays off that salary easily tonight. But this team, we've talked about it, like I said, on that Hardwood show all year long. It is really hard to make a case for guys other than Westbrook and Beal for the Wizards night in and night out. The third guy that you could somewhat talk about would be Rui, but he's out tonight. And that, a lot of times when a guy like him's out, or there's somebody that's going to benefit the most from him being out. That's just not the case on this Wizards team. Nobody has really stepped up into a solid role. So it's going to be Russ, it's going to be Beal in this game, and that is it. Unless we get some Thunder news, which I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be shocked at all if we hear that 2 or 3 of these guys are going to sit tonight. So if you're playing tonight, make sure you pay attention to the news here.
Yeah, and I know that Westbrook slander is NBA Twitter's favorite pastime, but I think it's clear that the guy wasn't healthy at the beginning of the year. And now that he's healthy, right? I mean, he's proven all the doubters wrong. And when they get in these wins, right? I mean, that's the number one thing they like to point at. So it'll be interesting to see this Washington team as they fight for a play-in spot. They could be that proverbial team that nobody wants to play.
I wouldn't want to play them, man, going into the playoffs. You have 2 guys that could just go beast. I mean, you got Westbrook and you got Beal. I mean, those guys can go out and single-handedly beat you. You don't want to play a team like that in the playoffs. I wouldn't want to. And we've seen it all season long. We've talked about on this show how they show up against these big teams and play well.
Yeah. So it's unfortunate we can't get involved in that game tonight, but Washington is a team we'll probably be talking about a lot as we move into the end of the season. Let's go into a game where I think I might lay the points here. It's the Houston Rockets, who are 15-42, heading to Miami to take on the Heat, who are 29-28. Miami's laying 8, but this Houston team, I mean, I'm all out on them. I know they won over Orlando, but before that, they lost. They pretty much get blown out by every good team, except for that weird Phoenix game a week ago today. But, I mean, they didn't cover against the Clippers. They didn't cover against Golden State. They didn't cover against Indiana. They didn't cover against Denver. And they covered against Phoenix and Orlando. I like Miami here. Miami's a team that's finally rounding into form. Look at the injury report. I don't think we have too bad of news on the Miami side. I mean, obviously, we should probably wait for Jimmy Butler news before we place the bet. But looking at this line, I think they expect him to play. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, I mean, if Butler's in, the 8 just seems like a strange number to me. Like, why is this game only 8 and then that previous game is sitting at 12? Like, I mean, the Rocket, is it because they beat the Magic last night? I mean, the Magic freaking suck too. So, I mean, that's not like a signature win for the Rockets. And they're on it's a back-to-back too. So I really like the Heat here. I mean, maybe this is indicating that Butler doesn't play. I don't know. I mean, I'm not good at reading into those situations, but if Butler's in, and, they're basically at full strength, they should annihilate this Rockets team. One of these teams that we talk about, the Rockets, they're not in the business. They don't care to win basketball games. And, they have some individual pieces that are good. Wall, Porter Jr.'s look good. Christian Wood is obviously, the most promising piece they have. Mm-hmm. I'll take the Heat here. I mean, DFS wise though, this is a great game to just not be on.
Okay.
Rockets back to back. You don't want that. John Wall in. If Wall was out, okay, maybe Christian would. They have Olynyk as well. He's been producing. They actually have a few guys now that are capable fantasy producers. So we can't take a look here. And then the Rockets. I mean, or then the Heat. The Heat have not been a good fantasy team for us all season long. Especially, tonight when they have all their guys. I mean, they have their normal starters, Dragic, Hero. There's a lot of guys that are capable of producing here for the Heat. So this is a very good fade for DFS purposes.
All right. Well, this is a game that when I was going over everything this morning, I was really excited to hear your opinion about it because I was close to making a play, but I definitely want to get some input here. I'm talking about the Memphis Grizzlies, who are 29-26, heading to Denver to take on the Nuggets, who are 36-20. Memphis out to 7.5. I like the Memphis side. My concern, and this is what I want to ask you about, Valanciunas is out. Does that mean we get Xavier Tillman starting? And does that mean that I should stay away from this game, or what are you thinking about this game? I think this is too many points.
Yeah, it seems like it opened. I believe it was like 5.5 or 6. Five did it? Yeah. Because I looked last night and I was like, okay, I kind of like the Nuggets a little bit, but this got 2.5. That's big. So I mean, I don't feel great about it either way.
Mm-hmm.
Valanciunas has really been playing well. Like he has been borderline like dominant, and with him out, makes me a little bit nervous because Tillman against Jokic. I don't think it's going to end well. I think Jokic could have his way, but Jokic has his way against everyone, so I guess it might not really matter. So I don't know. I mean, if I was going to bet it now that it's gone up to the 7.5 number, that's a big number. I'd probably be on the Grizzlies side. DFS wise, Tillman at 3.4K. I mean, he's in play. Brandon Clark at 4.2K. He is also in play for DFS purposes. These are two cheap guys that will get run tonight, and a good chunk of run, and they're productive usually when they're on the court. So both these guys in the fantasy conversation tonight on the Memphis side. On the Nuggets side, Jokic, I mean, premier spend on the slate. We talked about him, talked about Russ, we talked about Embiid. Those three are kind of in a group of their own tonight. And with Jokic, it's the conversation we have every time. Like he's in play every single slate that he's on. I am buying into the MVP narrative. The minutes are always going to be there because they want him to win this MVP award, and he's probably the front runner right now. And I'm going to buy into that probably for the rest of the season. Another guy I want to mention, Porter Jr. has just been playing some really, really solid basketball. Last game, a little bit of a letdown against the Rockets, but probably going to play upper 30s in close minutes or in close games. He'll play upper 30s in terms of minutes. So I think he's in the conversation as well, but wouldn't really be looking to many of these secondary pieces. It would probably just be Jokic, Porter. Then on the Grizzlies side, Tillman, Clark, both solid plays.
How do you think Aaron Gordon's fit in with the Nuggets so far? I didn't like the fit at first, and now I'm watching and I'm like, oh, it's fantastic. I was wrong.
Phenomenal fit. Yeah, phenomenal fit. I mean, and it's tough for a guy like him. I mean, he's always been one of the main pieces offensively on every team he's played. Mm-hmm. And, he has a much different role here on the Nuggets, and it appears that he's embracing it. And, you got to give the guy credit. I mean, like I said, he was the go-to guy basically on his last team. Now he's not. He has a new role. He's an offensive or defensive stopper kind of, not much of an offensive role. And he appears to be doing just fine with that. So I really like the addition for sure.
Yeah, I do too. Gordon's a NorCal guy, so I got a soft spot for him. I root for him a lot, so I'm glad he's doing so well. I think when it comes down to it at the end of the day, I'm not going to touch this right now, but if I get Clark and Dillon Brooks in, and it's still 7.5, I'm probably going to play Memphis here. I think they keep it close, even if I most likely like Denver to win the game outright. So we'll keep an eye on the injury news. I'll be watching you guys on Hardwood Live. Maybe we'll get the news then, but most likely I'll probably have to wait till the final countdown with JSU, which you can find over at runpuresports.com. If you're not a member, use the promo code RPSHeater25 to become a member, or use the promo code GetBets to go ahead and join us on the bet side, and you'll get all our official plays when we nail them down. Right now, we're just doing a little overview of the whole slate for the morning and just trying to basically put out our first thoughts on these games, how we're going to approach them, and the news and information that we're going to be looking for throughout the day to make our decisions. The last game of the night is a rematch. The Utah Jazz, 42-15, 33-23 against the spread, head to Los Angeles to take on the Lakers. So on, was this Saturday? Utah sat Gobert, Conley, and who was the third one? Favors. And Mitchell's already out, so they had one starter in there. The line went from Utah -9 to Utah -1. The Lakers won in overtime by 12. The game was closer than I thought. I thought Utah gave a pretty good effort for just having their reserves. I think they smashed with everybody back tonight. I expect a statement game. I like the Utah Jazz here. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd take the Jazz if I was going to bet on this one for sure. I like that number, -7. Yeah, I mean, there's really not much more. I mean, it's a good spot, I think, for them to take care of business and beat up on this Lakers team. Fantasy perspective, fantasy-wise, this is one of the worst games on the slate, and there's just not any place. It's just very simple. If we get news that someone's out for the Jazz, I mean, maybe we reconsider. On the Lakers side, I can't really make a case for anyone, again, unless we get some injury news, and then we shuffle things around. This is right up there with that Rockets Heat game as probably the worst game for fantasy players on the slate.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if the Lakers return the favor. I mean, they did up the injury report a lot tonight. Schrader, Drummond, Morris, and Gasol all probable, but that basically just gives them the out to go ahead and pull all those guys, right? So it'll be interesting to see how that works out. I like the Jazz here. I think that they bounce back big. I was surprised. I thought they were going to pull it out against them on Sunday, but they couldn't get it done. But like I said, they're missing 4 of their 5 starters. They get 3 of them back tonight, and most importantly, they get Gobert in the middle, so they're not just going to have those easy runs to the rim like they did on Saturday afternoon. So that is the full lineup today. I don't see Greg Russo in the chat, but hopefully he'll catch up later because this is his favorite segment, Best Bets. Hoop, what is your best bet today, side total or prop?
Yeah, I mean, it was the first game right out of the gate, and I said, I like it for fantasy purposes, and I like it for betting purposes. We're going to be on the Pistons fantasy-wise because of the injury news. I'm going to be on the Cavs betting-wise. I love the Cavs. I already bet it, and I'm tempted to bet more. I think they roll here against this, deflated Pistons team. Right now, it's around 2.5. That's where I see it at. Really like that number, so give me the Cavs here to cover.
All right, and you left me my favorite play. I'm going to take the Pacers money line. Let's see if it gets it in. It's for some reason it's off the board right now. I wonder if
they just actually funny. So that literally just got notification that Miles Turner and Sabonis are now both listed as questionable, and McDermott. That's why it's off the board.
All right, then I'm switching. I don't want. I need Turner in there. I really do. I mean, as limited as he can be offensively. I mean, it's weird that the guy's so talented and doesn't have a post game at all. He's so good defensively, and he makes all the perimeter defenders look so much better by erasing a lot of their mistakes with his solid rotations. I really think he's one of the best help big men in the league. I can't play this game if I don't think that Turner's going to be in. So I will switch. I will fade the Rockets. I will take the Miami Heat. -8. I know we are waiting on Butler news, but I'm a little more confident. This game's frozen too?
Yeah, actually, that's the other game. A ton of news just came through.
What is going on today? Maybe I better not make a play today.
Butler's questionable. Dragic questionable. Tyler Hero out, and Iguodala questionable. Literally, as you mentioned,
4 games off the board as we're talking.
I'm telling you, as you mentioned those teams, that's when the news hit.
All right, well, let's switch it again then. Let's see if they take the Utah Jazz off the board. I'll take the Utah Jazz -7. Let's see, place bet. All right, it went through. We can count it as an official play. So, guys, we got the Cleveland Cavaliers -3, the Utah Jazz -7. Pretty crazy taking road favorites. Normally, you wouldn't do that in the association, but that's how crazy the NBA has been this year. The home court is not it's just not what it used to be, right? 2,000 fans is not like 17,000 fans. In that news, something interesting I thought I mentioned Hoop before we get out of here. New York announced that they will moving from 10% to 25% for the playoffs.
Yeah.
Should give the Nets and the Knicks a little more of an advantage in the playoffs, and I'll be interested to see how full these stadiums are in Florida and Texas. I mean, are they just going to fit 17,000 in there? With the vaccine rollout, it is quite likely. But wanted to thank you for hanging out with me today. I always appreciate you coming on, giving out the winners. It's been great work that you guys have been doing over on the DFS side. So on the bet side, we've been working hard, but we've been doing pretty well too to try and keep up with all the great work you've been doing. You got anything else before we get out of here?
No, should be a fun week. NBA here. I mean, it's one of these slates you really got to work hard at. I mean, it's just not cut and dry as it kind of is earlier on in the season. So more work goes into it, but hopefully we get those good results.
Yeah, I mean, that's been I'd say the hardest thing for me to adjust to this season is not playing overnights. Yeah. For the last 4-5 years, I've been hitting overnights. Get the CLV, get the team you want. You can't do that anymore. You simply can't. I mean, even right now, it's hard to bet. I talk about my leans on here. I give out my one official play. I bet it. I bet whatever you guys give out, unless I'm like diametrically opposed and I say it on the show. But other than that, I'm usually not placing my bets until I'm watching you guys on Hardwood Live, and sometimes I'm waiting to watch the final countdown and really, really know what I'm betting with the injury news. So, it's how we adjust. And I'll be honest, it's been a little tough for me this year, but I feel like I'm getting a better hang of it. And, I feel like all this hard work, I think, is going to pay off in the playoffs. When I'm not just diving in, and looking at a bunch of stats. I've traveled the teams. I've felt the ups and downs. I remember the individual wins and the beats. So I'm really excited to finish the season strong. And boy, the playoffs can't get here soon enough. So thanks for hanging out, Hoop. Have you back next week for sure. And I'll talk to you about some other days you guys can come on and hang out. But I appreciate all the good work you're doing. Guys, turn into the Hardwood Live show. It'll start at what time tonight? 4:45?
I believe it's 5 Eastern. Then we have baseball at 3:45 Eastern, and then the NBA show should be, I believe, 5 p.m. Eastern today.
Yeah, and if you're playing DFS, you got to watch that baseball show. Draft Cheat's been doing fantastic. So
he's been on a heater.
I'm gonna have to make the plunge into that too. Should be a real busy day for me. So thanks for hanging out, guys. Everybody, thanks for watching. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and